Hi guys, welcome to Ameyaw TV One-on-One. My guest on today's episode is an all-round media guy. You may have heard him on radio, seen him on TV, or emceeing an event. When I come back from this break, Rev Erskine is in my seat.
Right here beside me and do everything right by me. You've been staying out way too long. I can't go another night alone in bed till the morning. Better get your stuff together and come back home because I miss you bad.
Welcome back, guys. Like I said before we went on the break, Mr. Erskine Whyte is here. How are you?
I'm good, you?
I'm good too. Now let's take it back to Erskine Whyte, Erskine Ameyaw Whyte, right?
Yeah. You did your research?
Yeah, I did my research.
Nice.
Where did you go to school?
Okay, so I'm a Legonite. I went to University, I almost say United States of America. I went to the University of Ghana, Economics and Political Science.
So how did a guy who has studied economic and political
I didn't even finish.
science?
I didn't have to finish, that's the thing. You know, so unlike people who, or unlike the ones that studied and then graduated and then found their feet, I started chasing this way before I finished. So I was still doing econs, political science, geography was a side thing for me. This was like the main thing I was doing. So.
Oh, so you went to school just because you had to go to school, but you had like.
No, I went to school because I wanted to go to school.
Okay.
I had a plan before this. I had a grand plan before this.
Okay.
And along the line, I mean, life happens. I was telling Ameyaw before we started the interview that I really don't plan these days because, I mean, I don't go heavy on the planning because life has its plan already. Right. So my plan was to go to school, of course, move from Kumasi. I'm not sure people really know that bit of. Yes. I spent 19 years in Kumasi. Okay. Kwadaso Estate, Patasi, a bit of Ahunjudaban. Okay. And then school brought me to Accra. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So when I got to school, I realized, you know what, I have time. I can still do my thing on the side. So that's when media work and then, you know, the studies came in.
While you were in Kumasi, you had, you know, already planted the seed of being in the media.
No, I hadn't planted it yet. I was looking at a seed. It was in my palm. Yes, but I just needed a fertile ground to fix it in. And I didn't really see that in Kumasi. Kumasi was very tough, I must say. Tough in the sense that the whole idea of being in the media was a foreign concept to my setting, you know. My space was go to school, get your degree, graduate before you get the degree, right? I think one of them. And then get a job that pays, come and elevate the family and then move.
Yeah.
Media wasn't really seen as a serious thing where I grew up. I mean, not my area, not the region, but my space, you know. People were in the media. I actually had an uncle who was like very popular. He's still very popular. He was in the media space, but the plan was to just come here, go to school, get my grades up, get a certificate, and then come down.
So at what point did you plant the seed?
Right from level 100.
Okay.
Soon as I landed here, I have a cousin. I remember, you know, I used to live with them before I went to uni, and I'll tell him to bring me to the Accra Mall so I could see how YFM is. Yeah, this was 2010. I remember very well. So back in Kumasi, I'd had one or two experiences. This is the thing, I was very hungry for what I'm doing now. Okay. But as I mentioned, the family I was in wasn't really into that. And so I had to hide. It was like a part of my life. You see how people would pick a vice, people would smoke in you know, in secrecy, people would hide and then smoke. I was hiding to follow this. So big shout going out to P. Wizzle. You know this producer, P. Wizzle, right? P. Wizzle had a studio at Bantama. Then, do you know Kumasi at all?
I do.
A little bit of it. Well, so for people who know Kumasi, Bantama is like the center of Kumasi. They say it's but Bantama is the center of Kumasi. And he had a studio there. So right in school, senior high school, I remember doing vacation classes. I would go for my classes. At 12, I leave, and then I would walk from Kumasi Anglican all the way at Amakum to Bantama just so I can come see how people record songs. That's when I met, I think the first celebrity I met in person was Kaboom. And then I had heard so much about him. Yeah. I started from there. So it was a thing I could hide. But now I found myself in Accra. The forces,
no family around.
Exactly. The forces that be or the forces that were then are no longer in my space. Yeah. I mean, don't get it wrong. My mom was very supportive. My mom is the type that would say, whatever you want to do, you can do.
Aren't all moms? Yeah.
So I started, you know, studying things that had to do with media. I would follow celebrities on Twitter. You can ask D Black. D Black knows this very well. I would pick songs and promote. I was just trying to gain grounds in there. So do anything to get the attention. But it was nothing negative, okay? So instead of going at people to troll them, I'd rather go pick songs or get information. Let's say it's you, I get info about you and promote you. And then through that, I built, quite a good number of followers on Twitter. Then, I started pursuing it, physical.
So at what point did you actually get on radio?
I got on radio to start a radio show in 2014, officially.
Okay.
But before that, so a cousin of mine introduced me to Joel Orleans. He was a big radio presenter, then he's still on radio. He was a big radio presenter then. Like Joel was the thing, he was the man. Then, uni, he had a campus show, the White Campus Express, which was like the biggest campus radio show. And so I got the grand opportunity to meet him through my cousin. And then Joel spoke to me and said, what are your dreams? What would you want to become? I said, I want to be a radio presenter. And he said, well, you have to start from somewhere. So Joel actually advised me to apply where I was. So I remember very well, I applied for a spot on Radio Universe back in uni alongside Zion Felix, Jeffta, who's Jeffy. I think he's a rapper on Twitter now. He's a rapper. He's quite known on Twitter. A few other guys, we applied together and then I didn't make the cut. I remember very well, I was told I was doing economics and I should take my book serious. Something that didn't really make sense then, but I sit and look back and feel it really made sense because it pushed me to get better. And so right after that, I called Joel again and said, Joel, it didn't work. They didn't pick me. I mean, you put so much hope in me. Yeah. You told me I was good, but they said I'm not good. They said I'm not ready for it. So I jumped on. And then Joel said, you know what, come join us. Let's, start something together. So I became Joel's PA. And part of my duties was to co-produce his campus radio show with Stanley, Stanley Atupasumuth, because that's what he's known for. Yeah, that's his name, Stanley. So I joined the team in 2013, officially as a co-producer for the show. We did it for a year. We organized campus shows. We built a strong, campus following for the radio show. And then in 2014, going into 2015, Joel had a promotion. Joel was made the host of the Drive Time show, so the spot was open. They said, who can do the show? I said, I can do it. I mean, I think I could do it. I was so good at learning on the job. The first day I did it sucked. I did so bad, I didn't want to even listen to myself.
I wasn't expecting anything.
Well, plot twist.
Yeah.
I was worse. I was awful that day on radio.
But then how did you feel that when they said, okay, the spot is yours?
It hadn't been mine yet. So the spot was open.
Open, okay.
And so people are trying out. So I remember a lot of people tried out.
Okay.
A couple guys tried. I remember, I think, notable amongst them, Joel, what's the name, OG, the MC was also, in the spot. He tried it, but he, after the trial, had a different spot on the station. He had his own show, a hype show. Rappers would come through and rap. But mine was a bit of a competitive race because there was another guy who was quite good. We did the head-to-head for a while, and then finally the spot became mine in 2015, officially. Okay. So I officially owned my own radio show in 2015 on Ghana's biggest urban music station.
What was the feeling? How were you feeling at that moment?
It felt good. It felt good because I was in uni. I was in my final year in uni. And you see, I'd built a brand that was, so connected to young people my age, people who...
How old were you then?
I don't remember, I promise you. To answer your question, it felt very good. It felt like being a burger for the first time. You know that thing, right? Yeah.
So what was the reaction from the family?
Part of the family didn't know. My closest family members for the past, I think 8-9 years has been my mom, my big sister, my niece, my nephew. I have 2 nephews now, but one hadn't been born then. It was them, and then my closest aunties. One of them was at Niboy Town. She was actually the one I lived with when I came to Accra. So the people at Niboy Town, around Links Gardens, who really remember me. My auntie's Mama Higa. So they were my closest family members. They knew, but you see, I got the kind of support I never expected. My mom, as I told you, would tell me, do what you have to do when you have to do it. Okay. You know, so, but just make sure you are best at it. Yeah. So I was glad I had made the cuts. This is YFM, Zainab. Like, this is YFM. Like, this is the YFM we used to see Ludacris and them's on, you know? I was in school, and it's usually, you'd usually see the cool kids. I wasn't a cool kid back in uni. You know, I was surviving on little than 100 Ghana cedis every month. I didn't have the kind of clothes that he had. I wasn't with a crew, because listen, my mates, I went to Kumasi Anglican, all right? And a huge chunk of my mates had gone to K University. That was the thing for us. Okay. Kumasi people, we like our zone, okay? So I tried K University twice, it didn't work, and I came to Accra. So I was totally cut off from my friends. But I found myself doing something that was so prestigious, and people won't expect you to do it, but I did it, and it felt so good.
Tell us about your first pay cut. Do you remember?
I remember.
How much was it?
Oh, school. It was school. It was school, I swear.
Were you proud of it?
Oh, yes. Money, honestly, wasn't even my motivation. Okay. But my first paycheck was 1,000 Ghana cedis then. And it felt good. I remember the day, so my station was so supportive and wonderful to the extent that, I mean, they appreciated the fact that I had worked before. I had learned on the job. So if the opportunity comes now, and they need to give me a good start. So I think 1,000 Ghana cedis this wasn't national service yet too. This was while I was still in school. It felt so good. Yeah. And I remember the day it was a Thursday, when I took my first paycheck. When I signed the new contract, I had my first 1,000 Ghana cedis in cash. And I moved from Jowlu to University of Ghana. I was at Pent. And my best friend through uni, I have to really big him up, MC Jerome. He's been a pillar in my life since. I went straight to Jerome and said, yo, he said, where did you get this money from? Did you steal from anybody? I said, no, they've paid me. He said, no, they can't just pay you 1,000. I said, yeah, it's mine. This is a document to back it. So Jerome had to actually verify that before we spent the money. And I think the money didn't even last for a week. But I mean, the whole excitement behind the fact that we were young, I was from Kumasi, I was still studying, I had tried YFM.
So now you've landed, Kumasi boy, landed Accra, you're done with uni, you've gotten a dream job. How was the process after then? What were some of the challenges that you were facing? Were there some moments that you felt like, you know what, I'm done with this?
No, unfortunately. I mean, I think you would say fortunately, right? But in the face of obstructions and setbacks, they will say unfortunately. I never folded at any point. Okay. I've had very low moments, like super low moments. Money will fail you at some point. Yeah. Family will still be behind you. You mix life and work sometimes, and it doesn't blend well. Yeah. All those moments are challenging. Trust me, I haven't really had a super challenging moment in my radio and TV journey, okay? Every step I took it knowing what could come up in the future. I'm the type, people who know me will tell you I'm the doom's prophet, or the doom prophet, or whatever they call it. I will tell you what can go wrong, okay? Before I sit in the plane, I will ask the next person sitting to me, what if this plane crashes? Are we going to hold hands or?
No, I'm that type. I want to fly with you.
No, I'm that type.
Never.
Okay. That's how real I face life, or that's how I face reality. And so there's been a few challenging moments, but I'm the type that rise above the challenge and, say, hey, we could do them.
Now let's move to Foresight TV. Enough about why.
Yes.
Foresight TV, how did that come about?
Foresight TV also through Joel. Okay. Joel is my God, okay? I'm human, I'm not supposed to call a human being my God, but this guy was my boss, and it was weird how he never asked what you want to do but knew what you wanted to do. So Joel will sit with you on Friday and tell you, I think you should do this. And at the back of your mind, this is what you've been wanting to tell him you want to do. Yeah. He studies people. So one time he told me, you know what, if you're free after class, I have my TV job. You know my TV job, right? I'm like, yes. I will take you along to help me produce the top 10 show and basically get me entertainment news and cook everything for me. I said yes, because it was cool, you know, rolling with Joel, being seen in town with Joel. That alone was fine for me. So I started producing for Joel unofficially, just like I started with YFM, because I started producing for Joel unofficially on YFM, and then it became official when the opportunity came. I had the opportunity of producing for Joel at Fourside TV for a while. And then one day, so Joel never really liked communicating with Ignis, our boss, because Joel is like super funky. He just wants to, Joel is so much of a creative. He doesn't like stress, okay? He's not the type that would want to discuss anything paperwork before he gets on set. So Joel will send me and say, go and talk to Ignis and see what needs to be done and come back, let's work. So first I walked into Ignis's office and spoke to him. He communicated with me perfectly. We spoke, we decided on what kind of news would go, which ones would go. We did this for about a month and a half, I think. And then one day I walk into his office and it's like, who are you? You've been entering here for the past month. I don't know who, I didn't employ you. Who are you? I said, I'm Joel's personal assistant. It's like, but you don't work for me. How do you enter my office? And I'm like, I work for Joel, so I felt maybe. And then, well, I didn't really expect him to say the things he said after that and act the way he acted after. It's like, yeah, well, you're not supposed to be coming to my office like that, but I do respect the fact that you actually came in here. I mean, if you had bad intentions, you wouldn't have entered with the kind of vim you entered with. But anyways, just do your thing and just make sure Joel gives out his best. So it became a thing. We did it for like over a year. And then Joel traveled. I think, yes, Joel traveled. And then after that, Joel got a new position on YFM, so he had to, you know, switch. He needed a lot of time, so he was off Foresight TV. And then I was also off because, I mean, my boss was Joel. Joel was the reason why I was going there. Until I think at an event at La Piazza in Osu, Joel was the one who actually set up the event, and Ignis came there. So I went to him and said, hi, Iggy, do you remember him? He said, yeah, Joel's boy. I'm like, hey, I'm trying to get on YFM, and this is the same time I was trying to chase the YFM dream. I'm like, I would want to work with you. He's like, yeah, sure, why? I mean, this was how simple it was. Yeah, sure, why not? Come to the office. I've seen you work. So I went in there, still did production for a while, until he one day decided, and Ignis is that type. Ignis will work with you and then just tell you what you can do. And you really explore that and find out this is actually what you can do. He sees talent and potential in people, and he would prescribe what he thinks you could do. So that's where it started with Foresight. Did that, did entertainment news for a while. I think at some point I was the voice on the station. Started doing, you know, artist interview, personality interviews. Would go out, I'd interview people. Became a part of the campus crew there too, because that was when I had taken over the campus show. So then I was running campus show on radio and running the campus movements with Fourside TV as well. So that's how come the Foresight also came out. Foresight campus tour came out. We did events at Pens. We did campus activations. At some point, we were the only TV brand that did activations across all the campuses. We did all that. So it built up from then. Yeah. You know, so while I was in school doing my economics, political science, I was using my leisure time and some extra time to chase TV and radio, and I got all of them at the same time. Good
for you. Now, we've heard so many, you know, for Foresight TV, a lot of people have come and gone. Yeah. Like Jay Foley and co, this guy, Jason LA and co, you know, a lot of people. And they always, I'm not the one saying, these are rumors that have been flying around like, oh, Ignis doesn't pay, that's why these people are not staying for long and all that. Was that the situation with you?
No, I negotiated, you know. I'm the type that believes in this notion, you don't get what you don't negotiate for. Okay. So I don't know their personal experiences. I'm not here to discuss I don't know how, you see. So all these people that got in on a different way. I don't know the kind of agreement they had with Ignis. Okay. But I had a good agreement with him. I was getting what was due me when it was due me. Did you understand that? Yeah. I was getting what was due me when it was due me. So I got what I deserved.
How long has it been since you've been at Y officially? You said 2015.
So 7 years.
So 7 years. Caroline was there for like almost a decade. Yes. But then, you know, Y had to let her go. Yeah. Do you ever feel like, after all the things that she has done for Y, at some point when you mention Caroline...
Caroline.
Caroline.
Yes, yes.
Like, it's like, Caroline, why? Caroline, why? Do you feel like Y is ever going to, you know, let you go?
Yeah, it can happen. I believe everything has an end. Okay. whether they will let me go out.
No matter how impactful
Yes.
your stay has been.
I mean, presidents even are moved.
For presidents, we know that
Presidents,
it has to end.
The biggest marriages end. I so much believe in living in the moment and working and building on the moment so much that the future is sort of secured. But unforeseen circumstances always come up. I might do something, the station might have less interest in me at some point. I might gain an opportunity elsewhere. It happens. It's just a part of life, you see. What happened in the past, I mean, you cited a very good example. In the past, these were two, inseparable brands.
Yeah.
And it happened. Whatever reason that caused it, I believe at some point it might happen, it might not happen. Because as I speak to you, there are people on the brand that have stayed there for 11, 15 years, Some were part of the people. I mean, Soman was the one that actually wrote the urban book for the station, He's still with them. So it happens. Some may go, some may stay. If I get to a point where I'm cleared, I'll move on. It happens.
You've interviewed almost every big name in Ghana.
Apart from you.
Apart from, I'm not. But yeah, who has been your favorite so far?
Kennedy Japan, Shatawale, Nanajo Awendo. I'll tell you why these interviews were very nice. Captain Catherine Hazel. Who else? Yofi Grant. Personalities. Tenny the Entertainer.
A few moments later.
MTN Hitmaker.
Yes.
It's like a much...
The biggest music reality show in West Africa.
So when that call came that, Erskine,
I was tensed.
We want you on here.
I was tensed. So when the call came, it felt very big and heavy on me. I felt I couldn't do it. Because this was huge. This is MTN Hitmaker. And the MC before me was phenomenal. I mean, Giovanni is one of the best in the country. So I felt this was a shoe too big to fill until I got there. That's the thing when you start. And mine was different. Mine was the first virtual edition because of COVID. So you had to deal with a session of the audience, live in the studio and the rest out there. So the whole virtual concept about it really changed my perception towards a few things. And it built me in my digital career because after that I've done a few e-shows, virtual shows. And I built capacity. I got experience from MTN Hitmaker. It was big, but I loved it.
Now, I read somewhere that you are Ogidi Brown's manager. Is that true?
Used to be. I've worked with so many artists you people don't even know.
Okay.
Like so many artists.
Okay.
So many artists behind the scenes, and I love the behind the scenes bit of it. I was Ogidi Brown's manager and Famia's manager at some point, behind the scenes. Currently, I work with two artists as the official managers, artist A and artist B. But these are big artists already. I mean, the rest I work with behind the scenes. I've helped so many teams, and people know my wedding was grand because it was a wedding, and I know people. Okay, you don't expect me to know all these people and have a boring wedding. Okay, people showed up to show me love I had shown them so many years before. It was, but trust me, we never planned it that way. My witness is Caroline. Caroline was our MC. Our big sister decided to come MC for us. And you see, people saw that and not be all of them, it be love. Ghana here, you just for open your heart, deal with people. You don't know who you might meet at the top or on your way back down. My wedding was just a clear example of grace and the Lord's work. I didn't really do much. It was some money on the side, but it's not the multiple in the bag that you are. I don't know which bag you're even talking about, but it's not what you think.